Hi class, today we're going to proceed with lesson number 3 from unit number 3, how to produce. But as usual, we'll go over the homework to make sure that you understand the previous day's lesson and can answer the questions properly. And so number 1 talks about how to grow businesses, talking about corporate alliances and vertical integration or horizontal integration to make sure you understand what companies and what companies are and what they do and how they're going to integrate or if they're using corporate alliances. Number 2, talking about some share information. 3 talks about difference between bull and bear market, futures and spot market, and the difference between commodities and stock, calls and put options, etc., etc. Number 3 will talk about supply and demand as well. So today's how to produce video talks about knowing how to determine the best course of action to maximize profits for companies, being able to make sound decisions based on the theory of the firm, and understanding what the theory of the firm is. And so obviously you'll need to interact with this lesson and complete the exercise within, as well as completing the review of homework. So production firms and the market are deciding on how to produce. And so what do we choose? How do we want to choose how we produce? And so that's going to typically depend on what our goals are in this production process, or what our end goals are for what we're trying to accomplish. Right. So, as a firm, is our goal to satisfy the needs and wants of our consumers, or as a firm, are we trying to make more money? As an economy, are we trying to satisfy needs and wants of our people? Right. And so, depending on what framework you're from or what perspective you come from, will change your goal, and that might change how you decide to produce. And so, economies, which are going to be overarching with political economies, economic systems, and ultimately create laws and policies that most businesses have to follow or to at least abide by. They are going to want to answer some questions, and so that will influence every decision maker within our economy. And so they want to know what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And so every economy wants to answer these questions, and the systems that they decide to choose are going to tell us how we decide these questions. And so as we've encountered these questions before in terms of how we look at economic systems and political economies, in a command economy, for example, how to produce is going to be, they choose. Probably they're going to choose systems that help the overarching economy. They're going to want to use capital goods, investing in those types of things. Whereas in a market economy, how to produce is typically decided by the free markets, right? Decided by companies, decided by them choosing their best methodology, and oftentimes that will end up leading to efficient methodologies, right? And so your economic system is going to dictate the answer to some of these questions. So that answers the how to produce for us, I guess. It's fairly loose, but free competition is going to dictate how that happens. And so now we want to think about what are we going to produce. So what we're producing is tracked by what we call as gross domestic product. And gross domestic product is the measure of the total value of all final goods and services produced by economy. And that's GDP for gross domestic product, which is consumer spending or consumption spending, investment in capital goods, government spending, exports minus imports. And so that's tracking what we're spending. And so what we're producing are all these things. Okay, so firms look at our consumers and produce things for our consumers. Companies will create capital. There will be government spending on types of things, and so all our GDP tracks what those things are that we're spending on, whether they be consumer goods or government expenditure type things, right? So in a free market economy, how do our businesses decide, right? They're deciding how they want to produce things, but ultimately that has to come within the realm of government regulations, right? Because the government is going to want us to produce in a certain way to ensure that we maintain certain types of environmental regulations. They want to maintain certain things are done fairly, et cetera, et cetera. So if the government is going to try to regulate or to influence our businesses, they have to understand that a business is motivated by different things than a government or an economy might be motivated by, right? So while the economy wants to satisfy its people, the business might not care that much on happiness or satisfaction of the people, although it should. Their motivations are a bit more profit motivated. I'll say it like very very bluntly. So in the past, the firm will barter and trade for goods and services, right? So getting more and more money was very very difficult. But the theory of the firms is since they're motivated by money, they innovate and they create ideas, and then they decide, okay, you know what, if we work together and create these firm structures where I'll hire people instead of just making everything by myself, and I can hire them and use their skills and pay them money, I can create a firm. And by doing so, I will create economy by hiring people and giving them money, but they will add to my wealth by working and creating things where I can sell and make wealth from. So firms or companies will do this, entrepreneurs will do this because ultimately they want to make more money, or they want to innovate, they want to get better, they want to become more efficient and more competitive, right? So they're going to utilize these concepts where they hire people, they divide labor, they specialize their individuals, they buy capital investment, right? So all these kinds of things are going to be part of this firm structure where they hire people and create systems where business can be done more efficiently. And why do they do this? Because they're motivated to. They want to make money. They want to grow in efficiency. They want to become a better business, right? And so if they weren't motivated by expanding their empire or creating more business or becoming stronger, they would not maybe utilize firm structure. But since profit is their motivated, they want to create goods and services for people because that's what people are going to buy. And at the same time, they want to create goods and services that people buy that they can also produce cheaper and more efficiently and faster and better, right? And so the goal of the firm creates a need, a desire, a motivation to do things differently. And so the government or the economic system has to allow for this profit motivation to help these firms grow and make them do more, right? And so they want to become more efficient, they want to innovate. And so the reality is, in general, the theory of the firm is that firms are profit maximizers. Business owners are profit maximizers. We don't have to assume all businesses' primary goal is only profit. We don't have to assume that they are just money-grubbing people or individuals or businesses, but all else equal, if they can maximize profit, they will, right? They will choose the method that's going to make them the most money, as long as it's not going to be illegal or whatever, something else, right? But they want to make the most profit possible. So to understand how this works, we have to understand, what is this thing called profit? And so we need to do some math here, some accounting work. And so total revenue is the money a firm receives, and that is price, P, times quantity, Q, how much money they get from sales. And that P and that Q is determined by supply and demand, as you should know, right? And so that's how much money they make. And their costs are whatever it costs them to produce goods and services, right? And so there are two types of costs. There are fixed costs and there are variable costs. And fixed costs, they are going to be the same no matter what, right? For example, I could buy a factory or a piece of land to farm on or whatnot. And so I can pay for that, and that money is gone. That money is fixed, right? That money will not change at all whether I produce one thing on that piece of land or whether I produce 100 things on that piece of land. That cost of the land or that factory is the same. When the costs change depending on how much I create, that is a variable cost. Like if I produce cell phones, right? That cell phone requires microchips, the screens, and so the more cell phones I make, the more microchips I need to buy, the more screens I need to buy, and so those costs go up and down whether I produce more or I produce less, right? And so then total profit ends up being our revenue minus our costs, or our price times our quantity minus our fixed and variable costs. And that ultimately equals profit. Okay, and so the theory of the firm states that firms are profit maximizers. They want this number to be as high as possible. And so if they want this number to be high as possible, they need to figure out how to manipulate these numbers if they can. So to practice this, we're going to go to textbook page 145, and we're just going to try to discover what are total profits for the 5 products in the figure 7.3. And so if we look at figure 7.3 on page 145, it should take us to, no, wrong page, here. So this chart right here, it shows us 5 different things. It shows us selling price, how many units were sold, and it tells us total cost of goods sold, and that is going to be our fixed plus our variable costs. So you want to look at this chart and figure out how much each of these things gave us in profit. So pause the video here and do some calculations. So make sure you can do the calculations and figure out what is profit. So hopefully you pause and now you started again, and so we should figure out our profits for leg casts is $200, rubbing liniments is $55, first aid kits $323.75, resuscitators $10, sunburn oil $250, and total profit in this scenario for all these products is $838.75. So in the scenario, it showed us that we sold 10 leg casts, 5 rubbing liniments, 25 first aid kits, etc., etc. And so the question now is, am I going to make more money? Can I sell 11 leg casts? Can I sell 51 units of sunburn oil? Right? So why are we stopping at these numbers? Ultimately, I want to sell more, right? Isn't that logical, right? If I sell more, I should make more money. That's the theory, but it's more complicated than that. And so let's figure out how do we determine for firms how to make the most profit ultimately based on how much we can sell. And so we need to understand the concepts of marginal revenue and marginal cost, because again, we're thinking about theory, the firms as profit maximizers. So what is marginal revenue? Marginal revenue is the additional revenue. So you should remember what this term marginal is. Marginal is the additional. So the additional revenue you get from selling one more unit. Okay, so if I sell one more leg casts, how much money am I getting from that leg cast? Okay, well, MC is the additional cost, the marginal cost of selling one additional unit. So if I sell one more leg cast and I get X amount of dollars, that's my revenue. But to sell that leg cast, I had to spend money too. I had to create it, I had to market it, whatever I needed to do. So to get that sold, I need to spend more money. So theoretically, when do I stop selling? When do I stop trying to sell? Right? I need to always sell as long as marginal revenue is bigger than marginal cost. Right? Because if this number is 5 and this number is 2, I make $3. If this number is 5 and this number is 3, I make $2. If this number is 5 and this number is 4, I make $1. And so you want to produce, sell until MR equals MC, right? Until this equals 5, marginal revenue equals 5, and marginal cost equals 5, and that is when you stop. That is the point of profit maximization. I always need to create and sell until marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So let me ask you this question. If marginal revenue is only 50 cents, do you want to sell it? So the next one I sell is going to make me 50 cents, right? Do I want to sell it? Hopefully your initial reaction is that you don't know, right? We don't know because we don't know what it cost me to sell that, right? If the marginal cost was 51 cents, then I would have lost a penny by selling this. However, if the cost was 5 cents, I would have made 45 cents by selling it. So yes, I would sell it if it was 5 cents of marginal cost. I would not try to sell it if it was 51 cents of marginal cost, right? So you have to understand that marginal revenue is a concept, but you can't fully analyze your profit maximization until you know both marginal revenue, and marginal cost. So you want to think about it this way. Like I could make cups, right? I can make paper cups and I can sell them for very, very low amounts of money, but it costs me fractions of pennies to make them, right? So I can sell hundreds of thousands of cups, right? And I can make hundreds of thousands of dollars because I can sell them maybe for 50 cents each or whatever it is and make them for a penny, right? However, I could be a car manufacturer. I could make Lamborghinis, right? Maybe I can sell this Lamborghini for $300,000, right? But maybe it costs me $250,000 to make, and maybe I can only sell 5 of them, right? So just because something looks expensive and costs a lot of money doesn't mean I'm going to make a lot of money on it, right? So you have to understand marginal revenue versus marginal cost. So we're going to go back to the previous example, and we're going to specifically look at these rubbing liniments, okay? And so let's look at this scenario. Rubbing liniments cost $1 each, where each decrease in price equals 1 more unit sold, right? So if price is $12, I can sell 5 of them. If price is $11, I can sell 6. If price is 10, I can sell 7. If price is 9, I can sell 8. If price is 8, I can sell 9. Okay, so this is how this works. This is how the market is playing out. And so pause right there, and I want you to figure out what is my total revenue for each scenario, and then what is my marginal revenue for each scenario. So pause the video and finish filling out this chart. So hopefully you've taken the time to figure out the answers to what the revenues are and what the marginal revenues are. And so let's make sure we're all on the same page. And so our revenue for a price of $12 and selling 5 units, it's $60, right? So 5 times 12 gives us the 60. If we drop our price to $11, we can actually sell 6 units. And so at that price, we can sell and make $66, okay? Or we can choose to sell it at $10 and we would sell 7 units, and so we could make $70. Or we could sell at $9 and sell 8 units and make $72. Or sell at $8 and sell 9 units and then make $72. And so here is our revenue scenarios. And so to calculate marginal revenue, we need to figure out how much more money did we make on that next unit. Okay, so from going to 5 units to 6 units, so that 6th unit, I would make $6 on that 6th unit if we sold 6 of them. If we sold 7 units, because we went $66 to $70, I would make $4 on that 7th unit. That's how much my revenue would change. That's my additional revenue by selling the 7th unit. If we sell 8 units, we go from $70 to $72. So that 8th unit earned me $2. And then if we go from 8 units to 9 units, or $9 to $8, we would go from $72 to $72. And that 9th unit sold made me no more money. Okay? So that's why marginal revenue is such an important piece of information we have to understand. Okay, now, so we're going to go to the second part, right? So what are we looking for? We're looking to maximize profits. And so what's our maximization of profit scenario? It's where marginal revenue is greater than until it equals marginal cost. So now we need to figure out what marginal cost is, because we have our marginal revenue. And so this piece of information here, you can sell at a cost of $1 each. That's important. So let's go to the next table. So now we have prices of $12. Again, all this information is here the same. But now we have total costs of 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So let's take a look. I want to make sure we understand. If we sell 5 units at $1 each, our cost is going to be $5. If we sell 6 units at $1 each, our cost is going to be $6. 7 at $1, $7, etc., etc. So our costs are $5 to $6 to $7 to $8 to $9. And this is for 5 units. This is for 6 units, 7 units, 8 units, 9 units. And so marginal cost is going to be simpler in this scenario. Even the scenario says to sell each one costs $1. And so our marginal cost is $1. Okay? So if we go back and think about and look at what is our profit maximization criteria, we have to look at where does marginal cost greater than or equal to, where does our marginal revenue greater than or equal to marginal cost? So I'll bring back our marginal revenue and marginal cost and compare them. So our marginal costs were $1. Our marginal revenues were $6,420 at these different scenarios. And so marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, so yes, sell there. Our marginal revenue greater than marginal cost, yes, sell there. Our marginal revenue greater than marginal cost, so yes, sell there. Our marginal revenue is less than marginal cost, so do not sell that 9th unit. And so let's go and prove this. Let's prove our theory, right? Total profit is revenue minus cost. So in the first scenario, when the prices were $12 and we sold 5 of these things, our revenue would have been $60 and our cost would have been $5, so we would have made $55. The next scenario, when we sell 6 of them, our profit would be $60. When we sell seven of them, our profit will be $63. When we sell 8 of them, our profit will be $64. Yet when we sell 9 of them, our profit is $63. So therefore, you should be able to see that when we utilize the formula where we look for where is marginal revenue greater than or equal to marginal cost, we are going to make the most money or the highest profit, right? Going from $9 to $8 of price, the marginal cost will exceed the marginal revenue, therefore produce 8 of them at $9, and we'll make our $64 in profit. So that is a lesson for today. So please make sure you do the homework. Make sure you look at everything you need to do, because conceptually some of these things can be a little more difficult. Thank you.